Last class, we looked at how to find the area of a circle for the first time. This is one of my favorite tweets as a math teacher because it takes something that we all could have in our fridge of these little cheese segments. And this particular math teacher showed how even this can teach you how to find the area of a circle from that formula. So if we look, this is what we saw for the first time on Friday. And what we talked about was how this line, or how tall that cheese slice is the radius. So the height of my parallelogram here would also be my radius. Then if we look around the outside of that cheese wheel is the circumference. So about half of that is right here. So half of the circumference is the same as half of 2 pi r, since 2 pi r is how we find the circumference. And we said that 1/2 and that 2 cancels out, so that would just be pi r. So our area of that particular cheese shape would come from pi r times r, which is where the famous formula of pi r squared comes from. In this video, we're going to more so focus on how to use this formula. So let's start with this example. Here I have a circle, and by the line that I'm given, I know that that's the radius because it only goes to the center and not all the way across. So to find the area when I'm given the radius, I plug in the radius that I'm given into r in that formula. So in this particular example, I would be doing pi times 11 squared. Now remember, there's two ways to write your answer. The first would be in terms of pi, which is you only worrying about the other numbers and not the actual pi involved. So 11 squared would be 121. So my in terms of pi answer would be 121 pi, and then inches squared for units on area. So in terms of pi, you should still see that pi symbol in there, and you don't actually multiply those two numbers together. Now, if it wanted it to round and actually use 3.14, I would take that answer and do 121 times 3.4. So actually multiplying it out by pi for the first time. When I do that, I get 379.94 inches squared. And remember, I've said this a lot, but these two answers are technically equal to each other. They're just different ways to write them. So when given the radius, I plug it into pi r squared, I square that radius, and then I determine should I multiply it by pi or not. Now this example is slightly different. If I look at my circle, I see that the line I'm given goes all the way across. So what this means is that 40 centimeters is my diameter. Now, unlike circumference, I don't have a separate formula for area. I only have pi r squared. So that means in order to find it, I need the radius. So if the diameter is 40, the radius would be half of that because the radius only goes halfway across. So what that means for me in this example is that my radius would be 20 centimeters. So 20 is what I'm going to plug in for my r in the formula, not 40. So in terms of pi would come from doing pi times 20 squared. Notice I used 20 and not 40. And 20 squared is 400. So this particular example, the answer in terms of pi would be 400 pi centimeters squared. That 400 coming from my radius, not my diameter. For the rounded answer, I would take that 400 and actually multiply it by 3.14. So that gives me a nice whole number of 1,256 centimeters squared. So for this one, the key thing to remember is if you have the diameter, you have to cut that in half first to get your radius, and that's what you can use. So just for a quick summary on calculating area, if you're given a circle like the one on the left that actually gives you the radius, you're good to go. You're ready to use pi times r squared. If you're given a circle like the one on the right, which has the diameter, first you need to find r. And remember, r is just dividing your diameter by 2. Once you have your radius, that's then what you're going to use for pi r squared. Today you'll just be practicing these two types of problems. Good luck!